news. Okay, we'll start with this. It would seem that both the combatants, Sio and Jermell Camarillo, reunited over the weekend now that Isis is expected to make a full recovery after being in an induced coma after her violent knockout loss to Jocelyn.
I don't really think she needs to do more boxing after that.
But she is back up on her own and on her feet. Would seem that Jocelyn took the time out to pay her a visit to make sure that everything's all right. I consider that good PR, public relations.
That professional courtesy that I'm sure was earnest.
I don't think that she did it in the name of business, but still, it's good for business, good for her public image, because remember that Jocelyn is an MVP fighter. She's going to be fighting on even bigger stages than when she fought Isis on Pro Box.
Once Jake Paul and Akisa Badarian get out that megaphone and really start ramping up promotion for this young fighter that advanced to a professional record of 6-0, banking her first knockout.
Just accents the duality of boxing, how we all gather on a night to watch a fight, watch somebody get the crap beaten out of them, though hopefully not too bad.
It's brutal.
I don't mean to sound curt or blasé when I say that what we saw in the Sio fight was an occupational hazard. Every fight that comes across your television screen has the potential to have the same thing happen or worse, and yet people watch anyway because there is room for that kind of barbarism in modern society, and that's in a boxing ring or an octagon, if you're into that. I remember when Alexander Vosdik hospitalized then WBC light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson. Some people said that it affected him. It affected his psyche.
I don't know how true that was, but I could see that.
He almost killed that guy. It effectively ended Adonis Stevenson's boxing career. Consequences of being a world-class boxer and elite-level fighter, these things might happen. Can't help but think about that as we broach the subject of Jocelyn's knockout win over Isis. Has it affected her psyche? I hope it hasn't, because the kind of barbarism and killer instinct that she displayed on the night, that's what she needs to make it to the top. It is a necessary evil.
Good that both women were able to reunite over the weekend and be professionals about it, because that's all it is. It's not personal, it's business.
Jermell Charlo, who campaigns in the light flyweight division, light flyweight, that is where there are only two reigning champions in Lourdes Juarez and Evelyn Bermudez.
It's a deep division, not for the faint of heart. It's not a ghost town like those divisions where Clarissa campaigns.
There's a lot of killers in the light flyweight division, and it's not just the belt holders to where you have to be one yourself to get anywhere. So the hope has got to be that this entire ordeal has not dulled Jocelyn's senses and her killer instinct. She shouldn't hold back for fear of what she might do. She would need to be razor sharp to win a title from either Lourdes Juarez or Evelyn Bermudez. These are experienced fighters.
Can't fuck around.
It's all very welcome news that Isis is now up and about and expected to make a full recovery, but I think it's necessary to accent that Jocelyn only did her job. She only did what she was supposed to do. You can't hold that against her.
Jermell, what'd you think of, as you used to call him, the tall, lanky motherfucker tonight? What'd you think of Sebastian Fundora?
That little bitch got a little power, huh? He got a little power, he stepped his game up. I like Sebastian Fundora for me.
Has he improved though over the years? Do you see him as a better fighter now than ever before?
I think he stops majority of those guys that thought they could beat him, like Earl Spence, and I think he stops him. Fundora's an excellent fighter. He's a champ. It's the reason why he's 6 foot. He dominant, but can't fuck with me.
Jermell, it's been since 2022 when you became undisputed against Castano.
But I never started working though.
You still can make 154 and be the Jermell Charlo you were 4 years ago?
Absolutely. What you talking about? I wouldn't tell you I'm a fighter at the weight. I have never missed weight, right?
No. So what is it about your style that you still have that would beat Sebastian Fundora based on what you saw tonight?
I just think my lateral movement, my feet weren't. I don't know. Keith Thurman he wasn't tall enough for his jab, his reach. I got it, bro. I got it. I think I got it. I mean, I know I got it. I become, a 3-time WBC champion. I like it. It's tight.
Are you going to get a fight in under your belt before you get into Fundora?
Yeah, I'm going to fight this year. All right? Guaranteed, I'm going to fight this year. Don't worry. I try to call out everybody. The weight division is popping. I haven't heard a name back. Ain't nobody called me yet. I haven't heard nobody call me, right? So Boots and all of them guys, they can work. And then you got
It's been 4 years since Jermell Charlo campaigned as a junior middleweight. Seeing what the division has become, you have to wonder if he were still in his fighting prime, the way that he was, how would he stack up against the fighters that are there now? Sebastian Fundora in particular, who was in action this weekend. Would that Jermell Charlo that beat Tony Harrison in the rematch, and Brian Castano,
The one who became undisputed champion, that guy, would he have done better than Keith Thurman did yesterday?
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely, because Jermell Charlo brings all the tools to the table that a Keith Thurman didn't have. Jermell Charlo, a career junior middleweight with a more statuesque frame and more ring coverage.
It's important to note that this entire conversation exists in a parallel universe where we can unite these fighters separated by time if what we're talking about is a prime Charlo versus a primed Sebastian Fundora.
I'd go with Jermell Charlo in that fight. I absolutely would, because he's got all the ring coverage that Keith Thurman doesn't have, all the experience at the weight, the height, the length, the punching power.
The ring coverage?
Brian Mendoza knocked out Sebastian Fundora. If Brian can knock him out, you don't think Jermell could have?
What would that fight have looked like?
I think Jermell would have got on the good foot, the same as Keith Thurman, with more ability to land counter shots because he's got more ring coverage, more height, and more length.
He's not a little guy. I think Jermell Charlo stands in at about 6 feet tall.
Bigger frame, with more ability to carry weight once he rehydrates, to where there would have been more sting and more steam on his punches than what you saw from Keith. That it would have been harder for Sebastian to keep Jermell at the very end of his jab.
Yeah, that Jermell Charlo from 4 years ago, I would pick that guy to beat Sebastian Fundora, but would I pick him today?
No, he's a fucking alcoholic. You see him. Every time you see this guy, he's under the influence now.
Every time.
Looks like he took all that money that he made from the Canelo Alvarez fight at 168 and spent it on booze.
How dry I am.
Booze and mink coats. He must still be spending that money because he ain't come back yet.
How dry I am.
Tends to happen when a guy gets a Canelo Alvarez payday. Sometimes they take a year off. In the case of Jermell Charlo, it's more like 3. Billy Joe Saunders, he called it a career off a Canelo payday.
Nobody knows how dry I am.
Jermell almost sounded offended when Sean Zattel asked him if he can still make junior middle, but it's a valid question if you haven't made it in 4 years and you haven't fought in about 3.
I think a guy as drunk as Jermell can tell a difference between the valid questions and the invalid ones.
Toggling between attitudes and different moods. 1 minute, he's praising Sebastian Fundora for the fighter that he's become. The next minute, he's tearing into him and everybody else at the weight.
I'm not gonna mention the little fish and the little lion and the big dog. I don't know what else to do in boxing right now. I've been waiting, trying. I don't know what else. The Pandora Thurman, I couldn't do. I ain't worried about none of them. Earl Spence, Zaire, and Boots. All y'all 154.
Hey, you're out.
Ortiz, I run Texas, dummy. I run Texas, dummy.
Why would Jermell Charlo harbor so much hostility for the guys at 154 right now? What specifically would set him off?
The alcohol.
Besides the alcohol, because all that's doing is bringing up what's underneath. What's he so mad about?
That the division has moved on. That big fights are happening, big things are going on, and he's not a part of that picture. It's his own fault, really.
It's been 3 years since the Canelo Alvarez fight. You're telling me that in the last 3 years, you couldn't find a Cornflake Lamanna or a Greg Vendetti or some kind of guy like that so you could have a tune-up fight, a comeback fight, to get back in the swing of things. If you wanted to take a year off to spend some of the money you made from the Canelo fight, all right. But 3?
3 years on a couch, you're retired, my friend.
Whereas what you're expecting is for the powers that be and the promoters to kick out millions upon millions of dollars to bring you to their side of things when the last time they saw you, you stunk out the joint.
He says he doesn't know what to do. How's about you have a fucking fight?
At middle, at junior middle, if you can still make it, I don't think you can.
He doesn't know what else to do.
If the issue has been, is the PBC in their current form could not accommodate your schedule in all the ways that you would have liked, Why didn't you just go somewhere else?
Other fighters have.
There's some PBC guys from your same side of the street crossed over to Zuffa. Some others have been keeping busy on Turkey LL Sheik's shows. You got PBC guys, used to be PBC guys, popping up all over the place.
To where inactivity really has no excuse. If you wanted to fight, you'd be fighting. And that's what it all boils down to.
He still claims he's the king of the division, the king of 154, because he never actually lost his titles in the ring. No, you didn't. You just gave them up.
Is that supposed to be better?
You forfeited them, abdicating the throne. Essentially, and in your absence, a new crop of champions is sprouted. You could argue that this current junior middleweight division is even better than it was when Jermell was there. So we're supposed to be hung up because you're gone?
Fuck off.
Along with never being realistic about the money associated with a fight, the fighters are seldom ever realistic about themselves.
Fuck off.
I don't actually know what the future holds for Jermell Charlo, who's been hinting at a comeback for how many years now? He said that he will fight before the year is out. I don't truly believe him.
So if I could impart a word, a recommendation, I don't think at his age, in his mid-30s, he can actually get back down to 154. He might be able to get down to 160, where an aging Arislandi Lara holds the WBA title. He should perhaps go after that guy, and if he doesn't want him, go after Jesus Ramos, the WBC's interim champion, in line to become full champion after Carlos Adames officially moves up. These are the guys he should go after. Get belts from them.
Forget about 154 because it's too dangerous and depleting to try to get down there. All the guys at 154 are gonna end up at 160 anyway. You beat them to the punch. Get a title there, so when the time comes, they have to see you.
You're wasting time on this fucking booze hound for.
Probably right. Why should I be more serious about Jermell Charlo's comeback than he is? All he's doing is screaming at reporters over all the fighters that are ignoring him.
Hennessy in his breath.
He may never come back for all I know. He may never box again.
Fuck him.
Too busy beating up his liver to beat up anybody in the ring, so more power to him. Drink up.
Fuck him.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Terence Crawford is still basking in the glow of his professional accolades, saying, Hagler, Leonard, Duran, Hearns, I'm all of that in one. The quartet fought each other 9 times in an unofficial round-robin-like manner throughout the 1980s and delivered a decade of memorable matchups that are still talked about today. Recently retired 5-weight world champion Terence Crawford believes he could have held his own and mixed it up with any of the 4 legends if he fought in their era. To be honest, I had a little bit of all of them, said Crawford. I wouldn't say I only had one of their styles, because I do so much in the ring, like Marvin Hagler.
Careful that he's not getting a big head, tooting his own horn.
I don't know, man. I mean, if anybody in the modern era has earned the right to liken himself to the Fab Four, I would say it's Crawford more than a lot of guys. Crawford continued, I wouldn't say I only had one of their styles because I do so much in the ring like Marvin Hagler. I'm a southpaw like Sugar Ray Leonard. I can box on my toes like Duran. I can roll with the punches, catch and shoot and throw from underneath. With Tommy Hearns, I can fight from the outside with a good sharp jab. I'm all of that in one. I would fight any of them. Just pick one.
All of which is true. All of which I agree with. Tactically and technically, we've seen Crawford employ everything that he just described in a variety of situations. I think the biggest indictment on Crawford, if you even have one,
he might be a Fab Four kind of fighter. He might be. But his contemporaries? Not so much. Crawford is certainly cut from a different cloth and would be able to hold his own in the fantasy fights. After all, in the last fight of his illustrious career, he climbed up 2 divisions to unseat super middleweight king Canelo Alvarez in September. In December, however, the 38-year-old Crawford called it a career and hung up the gloves. I'm great where I'm at. What more can I do? What more can I accomplish, said Crawford. I'm happy, thankful, content, blessed, and grateful for what I did in the sport of boxing. What better way to finish after what I did?
Same thing I said.
It was a sigh of relief retiring, but it was a bittersweet moment. It was like, dang, this is my first love. And it's all coming to an end right here. I am happy that I got to the pinnacle of boxing and that I don't have to go through the things I went through anymore. I was sad that I had to give up something that I loved so much. It feels great to be one of the pioneers who paved the way for younger up-and-coming fighters. Years down the line, a select few might emerge from the generation that follows Bud and build as the next Terence Crawford.
Better than the next Mayweather. powers that be have spent the last decade looking for him, producing boring fighter after boring fighter. Give me another Bud Crawford.
It's quite the conversation piece. Which one of the Fab Four fighters do you believe Terrence Crawford could have beat? Off the top of my head, I can't tell you, because they really were the Fab Four.
I can't in good conscience pick anybody to beat Roberto Duran in the lightweight division. If Crawford stood a chance against him, it would have to be at 147.
And at 147, Terrence Crawford against Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns, listen, those guys hail from a very different time and a very different crop of welterweights than what Crawford encountered.
They fought with a different intensity back then, and if you go back and look at those old fights, it jumps out at the screen at you.
Those guys were killers, man, and it's not a lot of fighters like that out here today. Bud was one of the few, the last of a dying breed, maybe.
Would he have beat Sugar or Tommy at 147? I struggle with that thought. I really do. And I have a serious aversion in matching 15-round fighters like them against 12-round fighters like Bud.
To be honest, I usually lean towards the 15-round fighters. You talk about Marvin Hagler at 160, and because this is a fantasy fight we're talking about, you're thinking of the best version of that fighter. So let's get the Hagler that beat the crap out of Tommy.
Bud's supposed to beat him?
I'm a Bud Crawford fan, but I gotta tell you, it's hard to imagine that he gets a win over any of those guys in the Fab Four. It's very difficult, and that's him being an amazing fighter, one of the best of his generation. Make no mistake, Crawford is an all-time great, but this conversation requires a lot more time.
More than we have left in this segment.
And a lot more thought to give an honest evaluation of how Bud Crawford would stack up against those guys. The most I can say is I don't begrudge him likening himself to those old school fighters, because that's what he harkens back to. An old school attitude, an old school approach to boxing. Not just wanting to be rich, but wanting to be the best. Wanting to be the baddest man on the land.
There's a lot of Spence fans that are still mad at him. Canelo Alvarez fans too.
They sneak their little shots in, taking shots at his resume like Canelo Alvarez isn't on there, and like they didn't pick Canelo to win.
Or Spence.
So fucking losers. I can't tell you here and now who out of the Fab Four do I think Crawford would have beat. Maybe one, maybe some, maybe none.
Maybe.
We don't rate actual careers and accolades based on fantasy fights and hypothetical scenarios. You look at what the fighter did, who the fighter beat, and what he managed to accomplish. What was the state of him at the time that he left the sport? Boxing didn't retire Crawford. Crawford retired from boxing. He was good enough.
Excellent enough.
He's one of the few fighters that got to make that choice, because most fighters don't. It's the underlying theme of Terrence Crawford's career. He did things his way, and in the end, in spite of what all the critics and the naysayers had to say, it all worked out.